Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conference of the National Electoral Commission.
Konferencji prasowej w ramach studia wyborczego PKW Wybory do Sejmu i Senatu 2019. W konferencji wezmą udział.
This conference brings together Judge Sylwester Marciniak, Deputy Chairman of the NEC, members of the NEC, Judge Arkadiusz Despot-Mładanowicz, Judge Krzysztof Strzelczyk, and the Head of the National Electoral Office, Secretary of the NEC, Ms. Magdalena Pietrzak. Sir, over to you. First of all, I would like to apologize for the delay. This is due to the fact that we wanted to present the most recent data. We have received data from 22,696 district commissions out of 27,415. However, we have received even more recent data for 10. Out of 24,881 commissions from over 25,000. The results are the following. Law and Justice Party, over 7 million votes, which amounts to over 47% of votes. Civic Coalition, 4,324,236 votes, over 25%. Alliance of the Democratic Left, over 12% of votes. As for the Polish People's Party, 8,63% of votes. Confederation, Freedom and Independence, over 1 million votes, which amounts to 6,76%. These are the committees that exceeded the electoral threshold. Non-partisans and local government activists, 0,78% of votes. German minority, 0,2% of votes. Efficient, Piotr Liroy-Marzec. Disappointed retirees and pensioners, 0,03% of votes. The Right, 0% of votes. Firstly, I would like to thank over 200,000 members of district electoral commissions. I would like to thank over 300 judges. Thanks to their hard work, we have already received 91% of data, and they have already been approved. I would like to just add that they haven't been approved by the NEC, only by district commissions. I would also like to thank the voters for their high turnout. As for 5 p.m., the voter turnout was close to 46%. After 9 p.m., we are sure that the voter turnout will amount to around 60% after we have received all the protocols. We have already introduced the system, however, we have not approved the protocols of district commissions from the entire state. The data from the entire state are already introduced, but they haven't been approved. There are 320 commissions abroad. We are still waiting for 25 commissions. For example, we're waiting for Paris, Dublin, Amsterdam, Berlin, Dortmund, London, a few commissions in London, Rome, and practically the entire Great Britain. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has informed us that there have been some arithmetic mistakes in the data of one of the commissions. They will be asked to correct them. They will send the protocols again at around 2-3 p.m. In London, one commission is still counting the votes.
Proszę Państwa, jeszcze wracając do przepisów kodeksu wyborczego.
As for the electoral code, only the committees that have exceeded the threshold of 5% of valid votes nationwide will be allocated seats. As for coalition, this number rises to 8%. Of course, ethnic minorities and national minorities are exempted from this threshold. As for commissions abroad, let me cite the electoral code. If a given committee does not, if a given commission does not send the results of the voting within 24 hours, and those concerns the commissions abroad and on aboard Polish ships, then these votes are invalidated. I hope this will not be the case. We would like these votes to be included in the overall count. Third of all, this will also be mentioned further on, I would like to thank all the functionaries that ensure the safety during the elections. Over to you, sir. Thank you. In order to conclude yesterday's election day, as for incidents up until 9 p.m., the general number of incidents was 322. As for the more peculiar events, there were noted in Krakow and Lublin. For example, we have received information concerning the placing of bombs in polling stations. Of course, the right offices ignored these notices and deemed them non-threatening. As for the behavior of voters, there have been other incidents than attempts at tearing down paper ballots or exiting with them. In one case, a certain Mr. said that he wanted to come into the polling station already with a paper ballot because he had received it from his mother. Another Mr. had already filled in his paper ballot at home and he wanted to cast it into the ballot box. Of course, such votes are not valid. These are the more peculiar events. Other events were rather standard as for criminal acts or infractions. As for 9 p.m., 30,349 police officers were engaged. They used 128,000 vehicles. Of course, still a great number of police dogs, and the number of horses has not changed, still 2 horses. We can say that there were no serious incidents, their number was not great, and the reaction to any events was immediate. Of course, as for criminal acts, the citizens were immediately arrested and investigation is being conducted. This also concerns those who had to investigate the bombing alerts. Thank you. I would like to highlight that if we take into account the number of entitled voters, which is over 30 million, and close to 20,000 members of commissions, the number of events is minimal. I think that the election was very, very peacefully conducted. Thank you. TVP Info. Good morning. Monika Woźniak, TVP Info. I would like to ask you about the allocation of seats. Do we have any preliminary data? As for the final results, will this be 130 if these votes are coming in so fast? Thank you for the question. I would like to highlight that we have only received data from 91% of commissions. This cannot really be allocated into seats right now. In order for us to allocate the seats, we need 100% of valid votes. This is in light of the Electoral Code.
Kwestie uwzględnienia list kandydatów. Także
as for now, those are just partial data. They are also unofficial.
Odpowiadając na drugie pytanie, kiedy
As for the exact date of the publication of final data, we are relying on the very last District Election Commission. We believe that at the earliest, we should receive the last protocol at 2-3 p.m. Of course, this still has to be considered as valid and approved. TVN24, please ask your question. So, what votes are being counted now? Are those votes in bigger regions, in bigger cities? Right now, we have received all the protocols from larger cities, so votes are being counted only in commissions abroad. Statewide, all the protocols have already been entered into the system. Of course, we are also still verifying the results. The moment we have received all the protocols from all the electoral commissions, we will be able to ascertain which committees will be eligible for the allocation of seats. Another question? I would like to ask you about the data from the website. We can see that in certain constituencies you have not given us the results. Thank you for the question. We have already said that the data only concern the number of commissions that have sent us their data. If the data have not been approved, we cannot say that these are the final data. If I may ask another question. Sorry, I would just like to add that thanks to the fact that all the citizens have access to the website and it is being updated in real time. All the citizens are receiving the information at the same time, simultaneously. That didn't used to be the case. What you are receiving is not completely verified. This is information that can also be shared by the polling stations, by the district electoral commissions. However, as soon as we receive official results, especially concerning the Senate, the voting system is different from the Senate, let me remind you. As soon as constituency electoral commissions approve the results, they appear on the website, but they are still considered as unofficial. We still need to verify them and approve them. Another question. Polsat News. As for invalid votes, do you already have the number of invalid votes? Do you have any information concerning the shortage of paper ballots? No. Thank you for your question. We have received no such information. There may have been delays. After the closing of polling stations, we received the information concerning the fact that backup paper ballots needed to be used. Those were mostly municipalities often visited by tourists, for example, Krakow. This also depends on the Commission. The Commission should turn their attention to any shortages of paper ballots or the number of paper ballots that exceeds their expectations. They should always inform the appropriate bodies. We have not received any information concerning the fact that somebody couldn't cast their vote. We would like to highlight that we were expecting 100% of voters to cast their votes. Radio Tok FM.
Radio Tok FM.
As for now, we are only counting valid votes. Of course, we will share with you the data concerning valid and invalid votes. Even now, you may receive partial results concerning invalid votes on the website. However, the results are still not final. Radio Tok FM, please now. Could you answer your question? I have a question concerning the commission in Lublin. Some votes were cast after 9 p.m. What does this mean for the voting process? Indeed, we were informed about that. However, this was not due to its prolongation. This was due to the fact that the voters who came to the station before 9 a.m. did not manage to cast their votes. That is due to long queues. All the voters who came to the polling stations before 9 p.m. had to be allowed to cast their votes. If there are no further questions, thank you for participating in this conference, and I invite you to the next one at 1:30. Thank you.